In 1656, a young philosopher just 23 years old, Baruch Spinoza, was formally cast out of the Jewish community in Amsterdam. The official reason? He dared to express an idea that was almost unthinkable for his time. An idea that challenged centuries of religious belief and the very structure of Western thought. He claimed that God isn't outside the universe. God is the universe. And Spinoza didn't mean this figuratively or poetically. To him, every galaxy turning in deep space, every neuron firing in your brain, every gust of wind, every thought you have, all of it is just a particular expression of a single infinite reality. A reality he believed had no boundary, no beginning, and no outside. He called it Deus Sub Natura, God or nature, one and the same. This quiet, radical idea became the seed for a worldview that would echo centuries later through Einstein's writings, modern cosmology, and even Eastern teachings on non-duality. Today, we're taking on a question that flows directly from Spinoza's vision. Is the universe a single conscious being? And are we simply waves moving across its surface? Forget the classic image of a divine figure watching from above. Spinoza's God isn't a person, isn't a craftsman, and isn't a separate entity orchestrating the cosmos. Instead, God is existence itself, self-created, infinite, and impossible to divide into parts. From this perspective, nothing is truly separate. You aren't a soul trapped in a body. You aren't a mind observing a world out there. You are one mode, one specific way that the infinite expresses itself. So is a blade of grass. So is a star. So is everything else. Spinoza believed that this single substance, this infinite reality, has limitless qualities or attributes. But humans are only capable of perceiving two of them, thought and extension, which we now reframe as mind and matter. Now here's the twist that makes his philosophy feel strangely modern. These two aren't different things. They're just two perspectives on the same underlying reality, like looking at the same coin from two sides. One reality, two expressions. And in saying this, Spinoza anticipated ideas that science wouldn't seriously engage with until centuries later, that consciousness and physical matter aren't opposites, but deeply intertwined aspects of a unified whole. Most of us grow up with a dualistic worldview, mind and matter, body and soul, creator and creation. This split runs through Western philosophy and religion. But Spinoza shattered that divide. He was a monist. Someone who argued that everything you see or experience is just a different unfolding of the same underlying being. His ideas line up in surprising ways with the non-dual teachings of Advaita Vedanta and certain branches of Mahayana Buddhism. In those traditions, the self and the cosmos are ultimately one. The separation we feel is more like a lens distortion, a trick of perspective. Spinoza arrived at a similar insight by pure reason. The illusion of separateness is the root of confusion and suffering. You are not a ghost operating a machine. You're not a tiny observer standing apart from a huge universe. You are the universe, functioning in a particular form. The sense of individuality is real, but only the way a wave is real. It seems distinct, yet it can't exist without the ocean beneath it. Now, if this one substance expresses itself through both thought and extension, doesn't that imply everything has some kind of inner, mental aspect? Spinoza didn't say that stones or rivers think the way we do. He wasn't claiming that trees are planning their futures, but he did imply that mind is present, in some degree, everywhere. This idea later developed into what we now call panpsychism, the view that consciousness, or at least proto-consciousness, is a basic property of reality. Not something that suddenly appears when brains get complicated enough, but something that is always there, in everything, just expressed differently. Modern philosophers like Philip Goff and Galen Strawson argue that consciousness might be as fundamental as mass or electric charge. According to this view, what we call human consciousness is just a highly organized, focused version of a property that exists throughout the universe. In other words, your awareness is not an isolated spark. It's a concentrated point in a field of awareness that stretches through everything, from electrons to living beings. But let's step from philosophy into modern physics, because this is where Spinoza's intuition starts to feel uncannily predictive. General relativity reveals that space and time are not rigid containers, but part of a flexible fabric that bends, flows, and interacts. Quantum mechanics shows that particles aren't independent objects. They exist in relation to each other and to observers. Quantum field theory goes even further, telling us that beneath every particle is a single field vibrating with energy, and that everything we perceive as matter is just a ripple in that field. A single substance with infinite potential expressing itself in modes. Sound familiar? Einstein even said, "I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the orderly harmony of what exists." For Einstein, Spinoza wasn't a religious figure. He was a thinker who understood that the universe isn't a collection of separate objects. It's a unified reality unfolding through time. But Spinoza didn't stop with describing the universe. He believed this radical unity had moral and emotional consequences. If everything is ultimately one expression of the same being, then compassion, kindness, and love aren't just noble choices. They're logical results of understanding our true nature. Hostility, fear, and hatred come from ignorance, from the belief that you and the other are fundamentally divided. But if we're all waves of the same ocean, hurting someone else becomes a strange form of hurting yourself. Spinoza believed the highest kind of knowledge is what he called the intellectual love of God, not worship of a deity, but a clear perception of our unity with the whole. When you see this, he said, something profound happens. Freedom appears, not freedom from causality. Because he believed everything has a cause, but freedom through understanding. When you understand how your emotions and impulses arise, they stop controlling you. You see them as natural processes, part of the same unfolding as the movement of planets or the tide of the sea. You stop fighting reality and start flowing with it. And in this alignment, a deeper form of peace becomes possible, not because life is perfect, but because you finally understand what you are. What's fascinating is how closely this resonates with Eastern philosophies that Spinoza never studied. In Advaita Vedanta, Brahman is the infinite, unchanging essence behind all appearances. In Mahayana Buddhism, the concept of emptiness points to the interconnectedness of everything. Nothing has an isolated, permanent self. Spinoza's vision mirrors these ideas so closely that it raises a question. Do different cultures, when looking deeply enough into reality, discover the same underlying truth? Just like Taoist philosophy, Spinoza's God doesn't interfere, punish, reward, or command. It doesn't sit above creation because it is creation. It is what is, limitless, indivisible, existing in every moment and every place. It's present in your breath, in the life of a tree, in the swirl of galaxies, and even in the quiet spaces between your thoughts. So that brings us to the personal question: what are you in all of this? Are you a temporary accident? A soul passing through? A conscious creature trapped in a physical world? For Spinoza, you are a particular thought, one expression within the infinite mind of God. You aren't separate from the whole. You never were. Your joys and fears, your successes and heartbreaks, your questions and discoveries, all of these are the universe experiencing a moment through you. This doesn't make your life meaningless. In fact, it does the opposite. If everything is God, then everything is sacred. Every detail of existence, from a child laughing to a leaf drifting down in autumn, carries the same divine presence. And the clearer you see this unity, Spinoza believed, the more aligned you become with the truth of your own nature. Enlightenment, in his view, isn't escaping the world. It's seeing the world accurately, without the distortions created by fear and illusion. Spinoza died young and relatively unknown. He lived a simple life, polishing lenses, writing quietly, thinking deeply. But his ideas refused to disappear. Today, they shape conversations in physics, philosophy of mind, spirituality, and even neuroscience. And maybe the reason is simple. His message taps into something we feel intuitively when we look up at the night sky or sit in silence. A sense that the universe is not something alien or separate, but something we belong to in the deepest possible way. A sense that the distance between you and everything else is thinner than it appears. A sense that the universe does not merely surround you, it includes you. You aren't in it. You are it. A brief, beautiful, conscious expression of something infinite. If this stirred something inside you, tell me in the comments, have you ever felt, even for a moment, that sense of unity Spinoza described? That feeling that everything is connected, and that the separation we live with is more illusion than truth? And if you want to keep exploring these deep frontiers of science, consciousness, and the mysteries of existence, subscribe, because this channel isn't just a place for videos. It's one small mode through which the universe is remembering itself.